Michelle, thank you very much. If you were wondering, I am not a runner, no. Can't stand it. Let's have a look at Spotify in a bit more detail and ignore. Actually, no, we'll come back to the running because it's actually it's quite significant in this company. We'll see what this development means for the market as a whole. I'm joined by Matthew Knight from the media agency Carat. First, I just want a general question about what do you think Spotify has done to the music industry? I mean, we're hearing there, but you know, it had reinvigorated it. Do you think it has?
I think digital music is reinvigorated, or certainly redefined the relationship between listeners, audiences and the musicians. It's created a far closer relationship because digital, social platforms, things like YouTube and Facebook and Twitter have allowed...
The problem is you get all those musicians out there, they're just not making any money.
I don't think that's true.
He's having a smaller size.
I don't think the artists aren't making money. They might not be making it from mechanical sales like physical CDs or streaming in the way that they might have been doing in the old model, but they're making money from the entire ecosystem of merchandising, of live performances, of licensing that content. So there is money still to be made. It just isn't in the same volumes that the labels used to have such control over it.
Okay, now, so what about this video, bringing video, and what's that going to do to their business, do you think?
I think it's going to open up many different audiences to Spotify. So those consumers who are more interested in getting a wider, diverse type of sets of content from Spotify. So we've seen BBC content on their TED lectures, which are hugely popular, things from Comedy Central and so on. So it's going to bring new audiences into that platform, not just those music fans.
In order to be able to drive advertising or to get more subscribers, which?
Both. They've got a two-tiered model, as we heard, so you can subscribe to get rid of advertising and listen to that content and music without interruption, or you can be served advertising and get that content for free. The great benefit of adding different types of content is that those paid users who are not seeing advertising content, suddenly Spotify can start to monetize those users in different ways. Branded content could start to appear on the platform.
So even though you're paid not to get advertising, you're going to have somebody holding up a can of Coke or whatever?
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, advertising...
Just by accident.
Yeah, certainly not by accident. I think it's a little bit more well-intentioned. Yeah. But I mean, the soap operas of decades ago were putting products in front of people in a smarter way, and we're seeing a bit of a return to that. Brands funding content, whether that be television programming or advertising, which consumers want. I mean, this is the critical thing, and the interesting thing about Spotify is they have a huge amount of data on their consumers, which they can start to say, well, actually, what should we be putting in front of our audiences? What do they really want, and how can we create for them?
Tell me how they do that, because it's quite interesting. We're coming back to the running subject, aren't we? Because it's quite interesting how they've actually managed to use the data on your own behaviour in order to be able to work out what to give you.
Absolutely. So they have, Daniel Ek mentioned today, I think they've streamed 25 billion streams in their history, which is a significant number of points of music, and every person who listens to that music, they're starting to build up a profile of what a person likes, what they don't like, when they listen to it. They're a mobile platform, so where they listen to it, whether they're on the move, who else they're with, it's a social platform. So that creates a really rich profile of understanding actually what people are into. Adding content onto that then adds another layer of what things people are consuming, whether it be news or comedy. And then running, you mentioned, so they're taking data from the device itself. How fast are you running through that park? Which park are you in? And tailoring content again to that. So I think they're adding a layer of intelligence to all their software, and actually that again allows them to put content that they want to in front of you.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it when I'm playing a game of tennis, I don't think.
No, not yet. Not yet.
But the whole point of this is, of course, the competition's getting stiffer. What's going to happen when Apple hits the big one, hits the market with its version, its streaming version?
Spotify have led the market for a good long period of time. Apple obviously have some really strong relationships with labels and content producers, certainly in the video and television space. The answer is that we don't know. I mean, it depends on exclusivity. If Taylor Swift famously pulled her back catalogue off Spotify, so you can't get that on there. If you're a Taylor Swift fan, what are you going to do? You subscribe to Spotify for one thing and iTunes for another. So I think we may see a fracturing of the market, and consumers might get frustrated.
And big deals to get people on board.
Huge
to keep them
deals.
with Spotify, to keep them with
Absolutely huge deals. I mean, Hulu spent over $160 million to get the license rights for Seinfeld, for instance.
Right, so which will feed back to the musicians, one hopes.
One would hope. And there's a far more complex ecosystem, and actually there's a long tail of smaller independent artists who hopefully will be getting music royalties through platforms like Spotify as well.
Fascinating. Matthew Knight from Carat Media Agency. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you.
Now, the European Parliament